Well, today is unofficial American holiday. You know what it is? It's baseball's opening day. It's always a time for optimism on the field and in the stands, but off the field, the economic downturn could prove to be a strikeout as attendance may drop by as much as 7%. Also struggling at the plate, the baseball card industry. Back in 1991, it was a $1.2 billion industry. Today, it is down to $200 million. The big hitters, Topps and Upper Deck, are stepping to the plate for new customers. Fox Business's Chris Carter has the latest on how these two companies are stepping up to the plate in today's edition of America's Greatest Business Rivals.
Baseball, it's the American pastime. It's what brings generations together. Its rich history is chronicled through classic books, timeless video, and the collection of oh-so-precious baseball cards. These cards have given birth to a $1.25 billion industry led by the entrenched Topps and the upstart Upper Deck brands. Baseball cards can be traced back to the latter part of the 19th century, when both baseball and photography were gaining popularity. The first set was issued by the Bryce Williams Company in 1903, and the American Tobacco Company followed with one in 1909. Companies like Bowman Gum and Leaf Candy followed until Topps came on the scene in 1951. Over the next 4 decades, Topps came to dominate the industry. Led by Cy Berger, the father of the modern-day baseball card, Topps set the standard for what baseball cards looked like in the post-World War II world. Through the negotiation of exclusive player contracts, Topps came to hold a virtual industry monopoly. On December 23, 1988, the Upper Deck Company was granted a license by Major League Baseball to produce baseball cards. Their first set turned the industry upside down. The cards were glossier, more modern looking than its competitors. Upper Deck also introduced first ever anti-counterfeit hologram to each of its trading cards. In the 1990s, Topps began to lose a bit of steam when other card brands flooded the market. By 2007, Upper Deck attempted to disrupt the private equity buyout of Topps with a hostile takeover of its own. Although its efforts came up short, Upper Deck had established itself as a true industry heavyweight.
All right, for more on the rivalry between Topps and Upper Deck, I'm joined by Kerry Stockholm, the Upper Deck Director of Sports Marketing, and Clay Lorosky. He's Topps Director of Product Development. Good morning, guys. Thanks for being here. Clay, let me start with you. We just talked about the evolution of the baseball card and the industry. It has changed so much. What is it about today's, I guess, baseball card collectors that's so different than it was 10, 15, 20 years ago?
Well, there are a lot more different collections these days. Back 20 years ago, 30 years ago, there was pretty much just a couple of different products. Now we have several different products. In the late 80s, early 90s, it was really about collecting cards and seeing what your cards were worth. Nowadays, we're trying to get back to what the hobby and collecting is truly about, and that's collecting and trading with your friends.
And Kerry, part of that is trying to figure out how you're going to reach out to a new audience of card collectors, and that is young kids who have something called the internet and video games and all other kinds of options. How are you reaching out to them?
Yeah, definitely. For Upper Deck, it's important that we establish a connection between cards and digital and online applications. So we created upperdecku.com, which is a totally new virtual world experience for kids that combines what they love, sports and gaming and online socialization with their friends, with sports cards and card collecting. So we've given them a new online application for trading, which we're really excited about.
Clay, you guys have done something very similar as well. Walk me through, though, what has been the target demographic of baseball card collectors, and what do you hope it to be? Where do you hope to go?
Right. Over the last couple of years, it's really been about kids. In the late 80s, early 90s, we kind of abandoned that. And we realized to get that next generation of collectors, we have to get back to the kids. So we've had 3 major initiatives over the last year or so. The first one being ToppsTown.com, where kids have an online world. They can build avatars and collect cards and trade with their friends. The second being a program called 3D Live, where we actually have cards that come to life via your webcam. And the third being a brand new game we've just introduced called Topps Attacks. And it's a major initiative, all 3. To really bring kids back into the fold.
Guys, before we wrap it up here, I know there at one point was a bid between Upper Deck and Topps. We don't want to get into that, but I do want to get into where this is headed. Walk me through 2 to 5 year plan. What does the industry look like? Kerry, let's start with you.
I think based on all of the resources that Upper Deck is committed to growing the kids segment of the market, like Clay was discussing, we certainly feel very optimistic that that portion of our business is going to be growing. So to have that infusion of new users coming to the category over the next 2 to 5 years is a really important part of our growth plan. So we're really focused on bringing in those new users and increasing the size of the market by bringing in more consumers. So that's what we're looking at in the next 2 to 5 years, growth with an infusion of new users.
Clay, what are you looking for, and how do you do that in difficult economic times?
Right. Well, now that we have our strategy in place and we're focusing on the kids, we know exactly what we need to do. Before, we weren't going to where the kids were living. They're living online, and everything we've created thus far has a transliteration or component that can go online.
All right, guys, very cool. Carrie and Clay, and happy first day of baseball. It is something to get excited about. I'm very excited, and let's see some sun, hopefully. All right, guys, Thank you guys so much. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Jay Leno. All the buzz is about an NBC affiliate in Boston who says they're not taking the show. That's next.